Welcome to another video. In this one, I'm going to show you how to solve absolute value inequalities. Just a reminder about inequalities is essentially it's a statement that is comparing the size of two different values. For absolute value inequalities, we are either going to have what's known as an and statement or what's known as an or statement. So essentially, if we ever have less than or equal to, that's what's known as an and. And if we ever have greater than or equal to, that's what's known as an or statement. This will make a little bit more sense when we start solving. If you take a look, the graph of an and statement will be the intersection of the two solutions, whereas the graph of an or statement will be facing in opposite directions. One thing to remember about inequalities is if when you're solving you have to multiply or divide by a negative value, this is going to flip the direction of your inequality symbol. Let's take a look at an example. So I have 2 multiplied by the absolute value of 2x plus 7 is greater than 10. The first thing that I need to do is have my absolute value expression alone on one side. So I'm going to undo this multiplication by 2 by dividing, and what I do to one side, I do to the other. Now that my absolute value expression is isolated on one side, I'm going to separate my problem into 2 cases, and I'm going to solve for 2 different solutions. Case number 1 is always the easiest because all you have to do is take away your absolute value symbol and solve. And case 2 is going to be extremely similar, but I flip the direction of my inequality symbol and turn my solution negative. At this point, I now have 2 inequality statements that I'm just going to solve independently by using inverse operations. So for case 1, I end up getting x is greater than -1. And for case 2, when I go ahead and solve, my steps are exactly the same, but I get x is less than -6. Now for your final answer, pay attention to the symbol. Since I have greater than, this is telling me I have an or statement. So my final solution is that x is greater than -1 or x is less than -6. And I'll just graph these as 2 independent inequalities, and it matches exactly what I would expect from an or statement. Let's take a look at another example. So remember, the first step is to always get your absolute value expression alone on one side. So in this case, I need to undo multiplication of -2, which I will do by dividing both sides by -2. Now remember what I said at the beginning of the video, if I ever have to multiply or divide both sides by a negative value, this is when you flip the inequality symbol. Now I have my absolute value expression isolated on one side and I'm ready to solve. Remember when I set up my cases, case 1 is always the exact same problem without the absolute value symbols, and case 2, I flip the direction of my inequality symbol and I turn my answer negative. When I solve, I get x is less than 12, and over on the other side, I get that x is greater than -4. So if I look at the symbol from my problem, I have less than, which tells me that this is an and statement. The way that you write an and statement is actually without any words, and you just make sure that your symbols are opening up towards x. So this is saying that x is greater than -4 and x is less than 12. When I graph it, I'm going to use open circles and I'm going to shade the area in between as this shows the intersection.